Is Bitcoin at its bottom, or is this a bull trap and we need to be on the alert for Bitcoin to go much lower? That's what we're going to talk about today on Crypto Intel. My name is Max. Let's get started. So what I'd like to do today is start off by just looking at the overall view of Bitcoin. And a couple of things are important here to understand if we're kind of bottoming out on this drop, or if we could go lower. And the overview is there is of course a certain possibility that we can go lower from here, but I think that we're very close to the bottom at this point. So let's take a look at a couple things. First is if we look at the parabolic move, you can see that we're still intact. We've touched it here, we've touched it here, and now we're touching it again. So the parabola for a uptrend in Bitcoin has not been broken as of yet. And now I am on the weekly chart and the week is not over. So really in the next few days, up until Sunday on the BTC spot markets, we want to take a look at where we end up at the end of the week. And if we still are moving up a little bit or stay in this position, then that's a very good sign. That's one sign that we have bottomed out on this move. Now, the other thing we can do is take a measure, again, of how far we've come down. And if I get this here, and I go from the top right to where we are now, about a 24% drop. And that is really in line with the other drops that we've seen in Bitcoin. You can see one here is around 20% so. This one right here, again, around between 20 and 25%. And that's what we've been seeing through this cycle. So, that's another point that says that maybe we have reached the bottom of this particular drop. And then a third thing would be, this is the 21 exponential moving average, this yellow line here. And you can see that in the past, sometimes it hasn't worked, but usually if we go above this and then touch it, we usually bounce. You can see here, we go below it, we go above it, we might spike below, but the ending day trade is above it, and then we spike up. You can see it here where we touch it, spike up. You can see it here where it failed, where we went up, we touched it, and then we just dropped. But once we got above it, usually we stay above it and we just touch it, especially in uptrends like we're in now in this part of a cycle. So that is another thing that kind of portends that this might be the end of this dip here coming forward. Now, the other thing we can look at is the standard deviations. And you can see on this chart here, if it's above the red, then it is oversold and it's probably going to go down. And you can see that happened. This red line here, by the way, is the halving, okay, when the halving occurred. But you can see that it was a very high oversold position in the standard deviation right at the halving. And then we did have this dip. Now, if I go back to the daily chart and we look at it, you see that now we're in the green zone here, which means that this is really two standard deviations, or it's actually at this point a half a standard deviation below, which means that this is a buy signal. You can see here when we were at that place here, see the price started going up. If I move over again to where we were under this green area, you see right here, then the price is going up. Again, right here, price moves up. Again, well, this is all the same thing here. And again, right here, price starts moving up. So when we get to this part in the zone here, it's a sign that, again, we've bottomed. And you can see that we are starting on the daily to move up. So we touched that parabola, and now we're in the green here. If I make this a little bit bigger, you see how we're in the green here. So that is another sign that maybe Bitcoin has bottomed here, and we're going to be moving up again. Okay, a couple more things that I think portend that we are at the bottom of this correction. And the first is, if we take a look at the let's take a look first at the open interest. Let me move this over here. Oops. There we go. Let's take a look at the open interest. And this is interesting because if you look at where the smart money has been buying and selling futures on Bitcoin, you can see that right around here in this area, this is where they started building up futures contracts in response to the possible ETF happening. And you can see that they started doing that towards the end of last year. And this is where the ETF happened right here. And then they started selling off. Okay. Then they started building up again on the halving. And you can see that this is where the halving happened, right around here, and now they're selling off again. So this, what this says to me is that the smart money has already sold off up here, and now we're probably going to start trending up again. So that's one thing that I think is important to take a look at. And then the other thing is just the spot ETF flows. And this is very interesting because you can see that in February, most of March, we had big inflows into the spot ETF. And now you can see in the past month or so, we've been really outflows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the fifth or sixth day. And this is the big drop. This is what you want to see when a bottom happens. Now, if in the next day or two, we see this starting to rise up, even if it's still a outflow, but if it's less of an outflow, then this looks like a trend where it's bottomed out again. So there's a lot of signs that Bitcoin has found the bottom of this particular dip. And I think, now's the time to take a look and start getting ready to maybe start buying in. And then one more thing I want to look at, and that is if we look here, Coinbase, let me go to my stocks. Coinbase here is having its earnings call today after market. It's now about 11 o'clock Pacific time. So aftermarket, but you can see that in the past 2 days, Coinbase has been trending up and trending up more than Bitcoin. You can see here, it went from the low here, and it's up just almost 14%. And this is right prior to the earnings call. This means that the market is anticipating a good earnings call from Coinbase. That is a third and final sign that I think that we might have bottomed out on this dip. So that's it for today. If you like the content, please give us a like and subscribe, and you can be notified when we have some more videos. I usually try to do one or two a week. So again, thanks for joining, and I'll see you on the next one.